Sciences. 2 words about CERN. CERN is an international organization of 21 member states, and as Dr. Sucha just said, we do particle physics. Last year, at the same time of the year pretty much, Dr. Hoyer, CERN's Director General, participated to a conference on women in science, and his words on the approach on this matter were that it should be around 3 words, all starting with the E letters, like excellence and education, the word of encouraging women into science, of employing them through equitable processes, and of enabling them to give their best. So I've decided to use this 3E scheme to take you today through some of the actions we've taken, some results we've got, where we know we still have to work in our gender policy, which is part, by the way, of our diversity policy. But I think we all know here that the whole thing is like an iceberg, I would say. You may have the best diversity principles embedded in very well-designed processes and policies. You know what influences your culture is the way they are applied in practice. And the practice may imply underlying attitudes, habits, unconscious bias that could undermine your well-designed policies. So most of what we do has to see with raising awareness through, on stereotypes, on unconscious bias, through various activities. It has to see with sharing, disseminating our diversity competency, and it has to see with applying a zero tolerance with any form of discrimination with the associated structures we've put in place. And I must say here that the commitment of our leadership at the highest level, our member states, but also our executive management, helps a lot in the matter. Now, coming back to our 3 E's, I'd like to start with the E in the middle of employment of women. And I'd like to give good news, because what we see today at CERN is that our HR processes apply pretty much equally to men and women, that we get the same results. And I have taken 2 examples for you. The first one is around recruitment. Today, the probability for a woman applicant at CERN to be recruited is pretty much the same as for a man. And what you see up there are the numbers for the recruitment of women in 2013 for our 6 professional families. In purple, you see, in pink, you see the percentage of women recruited in each of the professional family. And on the green, you see the applicant pool. And in the circle, what you see are the position for physicists and engineers we're interested in today. And basically what you see is that we recruit at a higher level, a higher proportion than the pool of applicants, and we recruit at a higher, even higher level of the proportion of women in those professional families, which is today at around 12–14% at CERN. This is good news. This is a trend we want to maintain. We'll talk about that later, because you see that the pool of applicants is rather low. We don't work with quota. You just talked about that. What we apply is raising awareness, paying attention, training our line managers, and the HR professional work with the line managers to ensure that the diversity of the applicant pool is reflected in the pre-selected pool of candidates. The other example I took today is our pay-for-performance system. You see 2 pies, one for men, one for women, and those are statistics for the last 7 years and you have the 5 different categories of possibility of pay increase, and basically you see the same figures. So we've been implementing equal opportunity, equal treatment policies for more than 20 years. We've implemented mandatory gender representation in all our collegial consultations, and as an international organization, all our HR processes are managed by committees, boards. We've trained our managers to equal opportunities and equal treatment matters, and these actions seem to pay off now. Now, this being said, we have imbalance. We have imbalance between professional categories, professional families. As I said, we have 12 to 14% of women in physics and engineering, and we have 20% of women at CERN at the moment. So, and we have imbalance in the managerial positions. If you take the 15 highest positions in the organization, we have only one woman, and she's the head of the human resources department. So we know that we have to focus our efforts on redressing these imbalances in those two aspects. So as you see, the talent pool for physicists and engineers is not here. We have here 11% of women candidates in 2013 for engineers and 14 for physicists. And we know we have a role to play out there in society to encourage young people, and in particular women, into science. So what do we do for that? We make our position visible. And this is just an example. Last year, we gave the opportunity to young physicists, women physicists, to participate to United Nations Forum and to propose 10 recommendations to attract, hire, and retain more women in physics. We do a lot of outreach activities towards young people, and we try to multiply the message by using the high school teachers who come at CERN for training. We also use a lot the social media. We publish video, pictures showing women in professions where the stereotypes would not expect them to be there. And we take specific actions. I'd like to take one example. We opened this year in 2014 a fellow position, 2 fellow positions actually, for people who have made a break in their scientific career, mainly for family reasons, and want to go back into science. Now, to measure the impact of those outreach and communication activities is very difficult, but we know it has an impact as a virtuous circle internally as well. And if you allow me, I mean, we just talked about the count of women. I'd like to tell you about the women who count, because we'd like to enable women into science and into physics by having strong role models. And I would say that we have them. We have role models at CERN. We have them in all types of positions and professions. As I just said, we have 20% of women at CERN. We have 20% of line managers being women. But as I just said earlier, we lose them when we get to the highest position. We are a scientific organization, so your credibility as a manager is mainly based on your scientific and technical credibility. And 10 years ago, we had only 7% of women in physics and engineering. So we may have an accumulated glass ceiling effect that we're now breaching. And to accelerate the process, we try to implement leadership programs targeted at women, but we failed. We got resistance from men and women. Why? We don't know. So we started a study a bit like what you mentioned, Alexander, with 2 universities to understand better our context and make progress. Now, to conclude on this career aspect, if we observe a leaky pipeline between the students coming at CERN to finish their PhD, for example, or to do postdoc, and the staff positions, once women are in a staff position in science or engineering at CERN, we don't lose them. They stay at CERN, they remain in a scientific or engineering career, and we even have proportionally more women in permanent position than men. And we have developed a very supportive work environment, coming back to work-life balance measures, to family-friendly, and in particular for new parents, family-friendly work environment. And of course, the idea of creating and communicating on them, you see an excerpt from a brochure, and an inclusive work environment where the objective is to create the level playing field for all. And you have here a picture of the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider control room. When the machine is on, this room works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And at some point, the leadership of the control room was feminine, mainly, just to show you that the possibility is given to women at CERN to be in all professions, even where stereotypes would not expect them. Now, I'd like to conclude about CERN as a global organization, collaborating with a scientific institution worldwide. And I'd like to tell you about the importance of having defined our value of diversity in our code of conduct and of sharing it with our institutional partners and their collaborators who come at CERN for short-term or long-term to carry out their research physics programs, and may come to CERN with their individual values and norms with regard to the role of women in leadership position or in technical expert roles. And having defined and sharing our value of diversity with them, set the standards, set the ambition for women in science and more generally for women in society. Thank you very much.